What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of The Richest Steve in Atlanta. I am your host, Stevie Steve. We are back at you with another episode number 33 in this thing, y'all. We are in for a great show today. We got the presidential debate, the vice presidential debate just happened between Waltz and Vance. So we're going to review that. And then Trump went on the Dave Ramsey network and did an interview. So we're also going to review that today. Real politics going on here in this episode. So make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment as we zoom right into the first topic of the day. The vice presidential debate between Waltz and Vance, y'all. It was I did not really get to pay that much attention to it. So a lot of the things that they say in this video is kind of going to be like my first reaction, because while I was listening to it, it was like in the back of my brain. I'm not gonna lie, it was in the back of my brain. I was not paying attention. But yeah, y'all know it was probably, I feel like the vice presidential debate will probably give us a little bit more than the presidential debate from what I was hearing. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Like, I don't want to waste too much time. Let's go.
We want as robust and aggressive as a federal response as we can get to save as many lives as possible. And then, of course, afterwards, to help the people in those communities rebuild. I mean, these are communities that I love. Some of them I know very personally in Appalachia, all across the Southeast. They need their government to do their job. And I commit that when Donald Trump is president again, the government will put the citizens of this country first when they suffer from a disaster.
Donald Trump called it a hoax and then joked that these things would make more beachfront property to be able to invest in. What we've seen out of the Harris administration now, the Biden-Harris administration, is we've seen this investment. We've seen massive investments, the biggest in global history that we've seen in the Inflation Reduction Act, has created jobs all across the country. 2,000 in Jeffersonville, Ohio, taking the EV technology that we invented and making it here. 200,000 jobs across the country.
So you've got to stop.
All right, y'all. So obviously they was just talking about the hurricane that came through. I hope everyone's okay. That hurricane did some damage to a lot of people. I heard, North Carolina, they're in shambles. Towns where I'm from in Georgia, South Georgia, they going through it. They didn't have power for a long time. So Hurricane Helen, I think it was Helena. I wasn't in the US at the time, so I didn't experience, but yeah, it came through with some stuff. So that is global warming a real thing? Is global warming a real thing? It might be a little bit, y'all, but to me, I feel like the earth changes. So I mean, we can't expect it all to be the same the whole time. But with the whole energy and all that stuff, what type of energy we need to be using, yeah, the whole EV mandate thing, I don't like that personally. I don't feel like our infrastructure is all the way built out. And I don't think making EVs is going to change, is going to affect global warming on a mass scale. Yeah, it can lead towards the right direction, but we need to be working on getting renewable energy up and able to produce some cheap energy, because we can't keep on, we fighting this thing, we fighting global warming, and at the same time all our energy prices keep going through the roof. So it needs to be a balance somewhere in there. I feel like, us doing something now, I feel like our hurricanes are still going to get worse. The weather patterns might get worse, but I don't think that's because of anything that humans are doing. I feel like the earth is huge and it goes through changes. That's all I'm saying. Like, weather changes every 3 months in the US. I don't know what to tell y'all on that. I feel like we haven't really done anything to make a dent in that. But if we are going to fight for global warming and all this stuff, we need to get renewable energy down a lot more than what it is right now, because it's just not, and build the infrastructure around that as well. That way it is affordable for the American people, because we can say that we're chasing this and we're doing that all this time, but it's a lot that we're sacrificing while trying to do that. Let's go ahead and get to the next point.
stop the bleeding. You've got to re-implement Donald Trump's border policies, build the wall, re-implement deportations.
We had the fairest and the toughest bill on immigration that this nation's seen. It was crafted by a conservative senator from Oklahoma, James Lankford. I know him. He's super conservative, but he's a man of principle, wants to get it done. Democrats and Republicans worked on this piece of legislation, passed the bill, she'll sign it. And Senator Vance, and it surprises me on this, talking about and saying, I will create stories to bring attention to this. That vilified a large number of people who were here legally in the community of Springfield. The Republican governor said, it's not true. Don't do it.
And he's very worried.
Yeah, the whole immigration thing, y'all. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm gonna start with the story that Vance did say he was going to create a story on that. I think that's crazy and vilify people. That is wild. Like that whole thing about the Haitian migrants eating the cats and the dogs. I seen the memes all over TikTok. It was all over the place. I seen it, and I think that is crazy to create stories to try to scare people on that. It's some things about immigration that are true that we can stick to that will do the persuading for it. Creating extra stuff around it and doing all that extra stuff, I think that was wrong. Now that bill that Walt was talking about, let's be real. That bill it was some bull. It was a whole bunch of hidden things inside of there, which is why it did get passed, y'all. That's why it didn't get passed. Straight up. Let's be real. We all know they like to sneak a whole bunch of things inside the bill. The bill will say Immigration Act for 2023 or whatever, you know, it doesn't matter whatever year we use, but it won't even have anything to do. It have one line in there that has to do with immigration. All the rest, sending money over to Ukraine and sending money over to Israel. Come on now, let's be real. If we gonna create a bill, let's create a bill for that one topic and not throw a whole bunch of hidden items on the back end of it to confuse people. That's all that is. That's all that is.
About the things that I've said in Springfield. Look, in Springfield, Ohio, and in communities all across this country, you've got schools that are overwhelmed. You've got hospitals that are overwhelmed. You have got housing that is totally unaffordable because we brought in millions of illegal immigrants to compete with Americans for scarce homes.
And just to clarify for our viewers, Springfield, Ohio does have a large number of Haitian migrants who have legal status, temporary protected status.
Well, Margaret, but
thank you, Senator. We have so much to get to.
Margaret, I think it's important
we're
because
going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, and since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app, where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The CBP One app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something that Kamala Harris created, Margaret.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut. We have so much we want to get to. Thank you for explaining the legal process.
We will stay.
Yeah, they weren't playing by the immigration. Y'all know that is a big topic out here. They kind of moved the focus over to like the Haitian migrants to me. That's what they've been moving the focus over to, but that's not even where a majority of the immigrants that are coming in are coming from. Let's be real. They're coming from the Hispanic countries. That's where a majority of them are coming from. So I feel like that's where I want the direction to go back to, because the Haitian migrants, they got a lot going on over there, I understand, but the majority of it is not the Haitian migrants. Let's be real. They're trying to vilify the Haitians and all that stuff. No, let's go back to the people who are where Vance was right. The people who are taking over schools and in communities. That's the Hispanic migrants that are coming in. I don't, that's just from what I've seen, the community aspect in Chicago, in New York. We have Black Americans or poor homeless Americans who are struggling out here. And in those communities, I've seen, like from the news, y'all know it, we all know that those communities are struggling. So that's all I'm saying. Let's continue.
Stay committed. And as the vice president said today is, we will protect our forces and our allied forces, and there will be consequences.
It is up to Israel what they think they need to do to keep their country safe, and we should support our allies wherever they are when they're fighting the bad guys. Let voters make these decisions. Let the individual.
Now y'all know they was talking what they was just talking about, that our Israel war with our who they going at, Iraq, Iran. I don't know exactly, but you know that thing is getting crazy. I heard they actually out there fighting right now, though. I heard they actually out there fighting, and both of them had the same stance, y'all. Let's be real, both of them just had the same stance right there. We backing up our allies, but somebody needs to go in there and tell them, yo, calm down, because we really don't want. The American people, at least, we really don't want to go to war. That's how I'm seeing it. That's how I'm seeing it. The American people really don't want to go to war, but the people with the money in America, they want to go to war. That's what they believe in. So y'all already know how it's gonna be. If Israel wants to go to war, I feel like we're headed down that path. That's how I feel. All the other stuff that we saying, I don't see it making a dent, honestly, in this whole topic. Because they if Israel goes to war, we're backing them up. That is what it is.
Individual states make their abortion policy. And I think that's what makes the most sense in a very big, a very diverse, and let's be honest, sometimes a very, very messy and divided country.
Just mind your own business on this. Things worked best when Roe versus Wade was in place.
I want us as a Republican Party to be pro-family in the fullest sense of the word. I want us to support fertility treatments. I want us to make it easier for moms to afford to have babies. We have to increase security in our schools. We have to make the door.
The abortion thing, y'all. Hey, they sent it to the states. I'm telling y'all, it being in the states is not the end all be all. Let's be real. If you're a minority in a state that does not do abortions, and that's what you live and die about, leave that state and go to one that will. Y'all, the people, y'all votes matter in local elections. In Georgia, it just passed. Abortion is legal up to 22 weeks. 22 weeks is far, but it's legal up to 22 weeks. So your votes, obviously, that's what people in Georgia, bro, in Atlanta, they was going in. And now y'all see that y'all votes, it's worked in your favor. So y'all can complain about it and do all that, but I feel like different states are different depending on where you're at. Some people, a majority of the people there, they feel like they shouldn't have abortion. Now, of course, protect the few, you know, when it comes to those three major issues, protect that for sure. But, you know, overall, at least in Georgia, your votes came through. And now you got 22 weeks. So, hey.
Doors lock better. We have to make the doors stronger. We've got to make the windows stronger. And of course, we've got to increase school resource officers, because the idea that we can magically wave a wand and take guns out of the hands of bad guys, it just doesn't fit with recent experience. So we've got to make our schools safer.
There are reasonable things that we can do to make a difference. It's not infringing on your Second Amendment. And the idea to have some of these weapons out there, it just doesn't make any sense.
The question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and missed.
In order for them to stop guns in the U.S., they have to make all of them illegal. That's what they're gonna have to do. Yeah, you can make it tougher for people to get it, but the bad guys gonna get them guns pretty much no matter what. They gonna get them no matter what. I mean, we can even go as far as, y'all know how in the UK they outlawing shanks. You can't have knives no more. That's just how bad that was. So they outlawing everything. So in the US, you're going to have to outlaw the guns. Now, everybody likes their Second Amendment, so I don't see it working out too well in that favor. Because let's be real, the bad guys, they're going to get guns. That I don't see a way to stop it. I honestly don't see a way to stop it. You know, you can regulate it, you can do all that, unless you take all the guns. I don't see it happening. There will always be somebody with that gun, and they're going to do it. We can have better laws around it. I do agree with that. But I don't see it stopping what's happening. I don't see it at all. Maybe it will curve it a little bit. I don't see it happening.
Misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said.
Yeah.
So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protest, went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
I was wrong about Donald Trump. I was wrong, first of all, because I believed some of the media stories that turned out to be dishonest fabrications of his record. But most importantly, Donald Trump delivered for the American people.
To deny what happened on January 6th, the first time in American history that a president or anyone tried to overturn a fair election and the peaceful transfer of power. And here we are 4 years later in the same boat. I will tell you this, that when this is over, we need to shake hands this election, and the winner needs to be the winner. This has got to stop. It's tearing our country apart.
I believe that we actually do have a threat to democracy in this country, but unfortunately, it's not the threat to democracy that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want to talk about. It is the threat of censorship.
He is still saying he didn't lose the election. I would just ask that. Did he lose the 2020 election?
Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation?
That is a damning non-answer.
It's a damning non-answer for you to not talk about censorship.
Now he's proposing a 20% consumption or sales tax on everything we bring in. Everyone agrees, including businesses, it would be destabilizing it. It would increase inflation and potentially lead to a recession. Look, this is simple for you. Where are we going? Kamala Harris has said to do the things she wants to do. We'll just ask the wealthiest to pay their fair share. He said Donald Trump makes the people.
I'm telling y'all, I just don't believe in telling the wealthiest to pay their fair share. I've never seen it work out too well. That's my biggest thing. It never works out too well. They've been saying tax the rich since when? Robin Hood? It never works out too well. I'm telling y'all, if you want like universal health care and all this other stuff, it's going to be on the middle class to provide for that. Ask anybody who stay in Europe, in any of those healthcare who they have taxes, the middle class pays a lot of those taxes. That's how that's going to work out. That's the only way it's going to work out. They've been saying tax the rich since Robin Hood. That's all I'm saying. So that's not going to work. That's not the solution. That's not at all. Let's hear they final goals and let's go.
People I care about afraid. A lot of America feels that way. We don't need to be afraid. Franklin Roosevelt was right. All we have to fear is fear itself. Kamala Harris is bringing us a new way forward. She's bringing us a politics of joy. She's bringing real solutions for the middle class, and she's centering you at the heart of that. All the while asking everyone, join this movement, make your voices heard. Let's look for a new day where everybody gets that opportunity and everybody gets a chance to thrive.
I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford a nice meal for your family. That's gotten harder because of Kamala Harris's policies. I believe that whether you're rich or poor, you ought to be able to afford to buy a house. You ought to be able to live in safe neighborhoods. You ought to not have your communities flooded with fentanyl. And that too has gotten harder with because of Kamala Harris's policies. Now, I've been in politics long enough to do what Kamala Harris does when she stands before the American people and says that on day one, she's going to work on all these challenges I just listed. She's been the vice president for 3.5 years. Day one was 1,400 days ago, and her policies have made these problems worse.
Stay up to date with this story.
Hey man, what y'all think about that? What do y'all think about the vice presidential debate? I feel like I'm gonna give my feelings. I will say Vance won for one reason only. This is why I'm gonna say Vance won. Because I feel like overall it was better than the presidential debate. I will say that. The presidential debate seemed more entertaining. It seemed like it was purely for entertainment than this one. This one felt like, they really talked about policies. They really talked about defending their president and all that stuff, who their running mate. They really did that. They really doubled down. So this felt more professional to me just overall. But I feel like Vance did more for Donald Trump than Waltz did for Kamala Harris. That's why I feel like Vance won. I feel like Vance did more to further Donald Trump because he's the total opposite of Donald Trump. He knows how to debate, he knows how to speak. So he really held himself very well in this debate. While Waltz didn't do bad at all, he didn't do bad. It didn't do much more for Kamala, in my opinion. I feel like it didn't do much more for Kamala. They kind of the same. They kind of speak the same on the same a lot of the time. Vance is so different in the way that he presents himself from Trump that I feel like it's a very shock on how he presents different topics that help Trump in the long run. That's why I feel like Vance won this overall debate. That's where I stand. But yeah, make sure y'all like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Let me know how y'all feel about the debate. Who won? What side you going for after that? Voting has already started, so make sure that you vote. I think I'm gonna have to do some early voting, so I might have to save who I'm voting for a little bit. But yeah, that just is what it is. That debate's over with. It's the first and only one of this go round. Y'all know things started a little late. Yeah, let me know how you feel. With that, y'all, we're going to go ahead and move on to our next topic of the day. Trump was with Dave Ramsey. I definitely 100% have not reviewed this yet. I have not had time, but I'm definitely into Dave Ramsey with his debt saving and all that stuff. So his financial planning and all that, definitely into that. And he's talking to Trump. He asked Kamala and Trump came first. I don't know if Kamala will, but I support what Dave Ramsey is doing when it comes to people getting their financial literacy up and getting out of the shackles of debt. So I really wanted to review this because I know he's going to talk a lot about Trump's economic plan for the middle class. So that's really why I wanted to get into this and to see what they have to say. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Can Trump plan clean up America's financial mess? I told y'all for sure this is what it's going to go down. Let's get it.
This inflation thing's a big deal. So in the first 90 days, the strokes that you make to change the economy when you're elected, that's pretty dramatic.
I believe I'll be able to get energy down to 50% of what it is right now within a period of less than a year.
I know small businesses are where jobs come from. When you guys in government can take your hands off of small business, we're able to employ people and change things. So how can you help small businesses?
You have to love what you do. If you don't love what you do, it's not going to work. It's the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. That's why we became so successful.
You think we can do that again?
Yeah, I think we can go lower. If I don't turn my head at the exact 90-degree angle, if I was a little off, I'm not doing this very nice interview with you.
I hear you going back to Butler and finish the speech.
I am. I'm going to say...
Hey guys, Dave Ramsey here with The Ramsey Show. If you don't know what The Ramsey Show is, it's a show about life, about money, about relationships. It's not a show about politics. We specifically over the years have tried to remind you over and over again that what happens in your house is more important for your success than what happens in the White House. We also realize that this election is a really important time right now. The people are really looking at what's happening. There's a real divisiveness in the air, a lot of anger in the air. So our team reached out to Vice President Harris's team about the opportunity to sit down with her for a long-form interview, and reached out to President Trump's team about the opportunity to sit down for a long-form interview with him and to talk about ideas, talk about what's going to happen, not what has happened, and not about personalities and not about name calling, because both sides are pretty good at all of that stuff. And the fact that I sit down with either one of these candidates is going to piss some of you off, and frankly, I'm perfectly fine with that. It's something I wanted to do, and I felt like it was something we needed to talk about. So I find myself sitting here in Trump Tower, getting ready to interview President Trump for a few minutes. I think you're going to find this really interesting.
All right, so just off the bat, y'all see this is going to be about the questions. Like this isn't going to be about Kamala. We don't need the name caller. We don't need all that. We need to know what you're going to do for the American people. That's what this is going to be about, y'all. What are you going to do for the American people? What's your plan for the American people? Like he said, all the name calling, all the what happened in the past. Good O's, good. That's cool. That's cool. Now. We living right now. Give it to us, man. I'm ready. I'm really excited to see this. Let's go.
So President Trump, thanks for taking time to sit down with us.
Thank you.
Honored to be with you. Good to hang out with you. As you know, we do a show called The Ramsey Show and talk to regular folks every day, calling in most of the time with financial trouble, sometimes with financial victories, stuff we've taught them to do, the basic grandma's common sense stuff.
Right.
And that audience that's going to be watching this is, they're not concerned with a lot of things, but they are concerned with $8 eggs, $5 gas, 7% interest rates, and a house they can't afford with wages not going up as fast as house prices. This inflation thing's a big deal. So in the first 90 days, the strokes that you make to change the economy when you're elected are a big deal. What's the first things you're going to do on that?
Well, in terms of inflation, you're right. And it's almost inflation over the economy, if you want to really know, because people are getting wiped out like never before. I think it's the highest inflation we've ever had. They say it's the highest in 48 years. I think it's the highest ever. There's never been any mess like this. And it's because of what they did with energy. Also, then they topped it with spending with money, that trillions and trillions of dollars that they didn't need, that's being just wasted. But the first thing you have to do is get the energy down. If you get the energy down, other things are going to follow. You want to get the interest rates down too. And interestingly, even interest rates are going to follow energy, because it's going to take that burden off the shoulders of the economy and off the shoulders of inflation itself. And we are going to drill at a level that you haven't seen since, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago, but even more so. We would have been so dominant by this point. If you remember, when you go back to the beginning of this really failed administration that we're in right now, what they did was they turned off the energy. They turned off everything that I had.
So you turned back on the Keystone. You're going to turn back on the drill baby drill line and the in your acceptance speech at the convention.
It says it all. You know, I'd like to use another line, but there's no line that's better. And we're going to drill baby drill. But the fact that they turned it off, and then the energy, if you look back at the very initial period of their administration, the numbers started going through the roof, the energy numbers. Inflation was good. And then they went back to Trump, where they're trying to equal it. And it kept it bad as opposed to horrific. And it's been really bad. And the energy has been very expensive, but nothing like it could have been. So they went back to Trump type things. But we would have been now 3 to 4 times more. We would have been dominating the entire world on energy. We have more than anybody else, as you've heard me say, but as you also know,
right.
I call it liquid gold. We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else, actually by far. We would have dominated. We would have been taking care of Europe. We would have been taking care of Asia. We would have been taking care, Anwar in Alaska is the biggest find anywhere in the world. It could be as big as Saudi Arabia. And I got it. Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. Nobody could get it. I got it. It was done, ready to start. And when these people came in, they turned it off. They terminated it. Nobody could believe it.
I don't know if people realize that, 10 to 15% of the entire economy is energy, right. And it weaves its tentacles through everything else. So $5 gas affects the bread truck who's delivering the bread, and that affects the cost of the bread then. And so getting that plentiful changes everything.
So I have a little thing that I've been saying lately, because I think it's easily.
Yeah, y'all. So as y'all see from the jump, Trump is going to be very focused on getting that energy bill down. It's just not energy in per se, it's your gas prices. Like you said, that will lead everything else. Personally, in my personal life, I pay my gas. I pay that. So I've seen the price of gas go up to $5. I've seen it go up. That affects me. In America, y'all, all we can do is drive. We have to drive. We don't have public transportation. Or if we do, y'all know it's trash. Let's be real. Everyone drives. So gas prices go down. That saves a lot of money in a lot of people's pockets. Hey, if my electric bill goes down, thank you for real. Thank you. That will save me a lot. Just energy and all will definitely help. And like he said, once gas prices go down, that means the cost of deliveries, it goes down. It will lead the economy, I feel like, into a right spot. Shoot, I might need to invest me into some energy stocks if Trump get in, because that sounds like it's gonna be some growth over in that sector. That sounds like it's gonna be some growth. But yeah, he's gonna lead with the energy. That is going to be the number one. I ain't gonna lie. My gas tank, it costs a lot to fill up now. I ain't gonna lie to you. So I would be happy to see gas prices go down. For sure. For sure. No talk about it. Gas prices go down, I'm a happy camper. Off rip. Let's continue this though.
Easily achievable. We pay very high energy costs, and especially now, but we're paying very, very high. I believe I'll be able to get energy down to 50%, 50% of what it is right now within.
Y'all, if he do that, if he get energy prices down 50%, I'm about to save so much money. I'm about to get back so much money. It's going to be ridiculous. Like I said, I pay a lot. I pay like $200. Y'all think $200? Two and some change. Y'all, that's a lot to pay for an electric bill, I think. I do. I like to stay comfortable in my house. So in the winter, that heat be on. And in the summer, the air be on. Yes, I do like to be, I gotta sleep comfortable. So my bill be kind of high. I be feeling like that 200, whatever, and some change, that be high. And then I have to drive far for work. Come on now. Come on. If he drop everything by 50%.
Then a period of less than a year.
Wow.
That's pretty good. It's going to happen fast. Okay. It's going to happen fast.
Well, what are you going to do to do that? What causes that?
They're going to drill. They're going to frack. They're going to do things that they have tremendous
So
additional.
taking the rigs off, taking the regulation gloves off.
We have to. They put them back on. They put regulations back on. That areas that have no environmental real meaning, they don't let them drill. They're taking leases away, government leases that you're hearing about. I think we can get energy costs down to half of what they. If we do that,
that's pretty dramatic.
Everything, all of those inflated prices are going to come down with it.
I think the other piece of that, and I know he was part of your administration, and you and I were talking before we turned the cameras on, that we have a mutual friend in Art Laffer. And I know he helped a little bit with the tax code in the last administration. And I personally have experienced the Laffer curve, that lower taxes causes increased revenues to the federal government because it heats up the economy. And I'm a small business guy. When you lower my taxes, it doesn't mean I put it in my pocket. It means I hire people.
Right.
And so talk about lowering taxes in the first year of your administration.
Yeah, you probably saw my plan, and I think we have something really good. I was yesterday in North Carolina.
I just want to stop. Did y'all see how Dave Ramsey just described that? I'm ready to be old and have some great experience like him, because the way he did that, that's what they don't tell people with the taxes thing. They be like, oh, they're giving cuts to the rich. When it trickles down. Most times it trickles down. If you're dealing with a good person, with a good company, it's going to trickle down. Like he said, when taxes are lower, he hires more people. More people we get more raises. That's how I feel. It's more money in the economy. That's what it's going to be, especially if it's for the middle class. It's going to go to the middle class. I've never seen a trickle up economy work. I have it. I have it. Because it doesn't make sense. That's actually why. That's why. If the top gets squeezed, they're gonna squeeze the bottom. That's how it works. It's gonna come down to us. It just works its way down. The economy probably really only works top down. Squeeze the rich, we're gonna be the ones that suffer. At the end of the day, that's how it's gonna be. They're not gonna pay more taxes. The price is gonna go up. That's what's gonna happen. I just don't think people see it. Come on, Trump. Tell us about these taxes, though.
Carolina, which is great. That was the furniture capital of the world. And China then went in and did a number, and took so much of that business, most of that business. The talent, I used to go there to buy furniture for hotels and things.
Hickory, North Carolina.
Yep, in Hickory. I was in Hickory yesterday and made a speech. And we're going to bring it all back. What we're doing is sort of a two-phase. Number one, I took taxes from 39% to 21%. You know that better than anyone. It's the largest tax cuts in the history of our country. And that was great. That's why we became so successful.
You think we can do that again?
Yeah, I think we can go lower. And I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm bringing it from 21 to 15, but you have to manufacture your product here. And then you pay 15%. And then I'm going to put tariffs on countries so they can't come in and steal our business, so that our businesses now can be competitive. Not that, China came in and just stole all our furniture and many other industries, by the way, including steel. And I saved steel by putting 50% and 100% tariffs on all of the steel that they were dumping. But we're going to do, so in other words, this is a dream for you then. We'll bring.
Yo, when he say China came in and stole all the industries, I literally just think about all the stuff I had that said made in China. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm confused. It's confusing. I thought China was, like the enemy. I don't want to say it like that, but we're playing against China. That's who we're competing against. We're competing against China, and we get everything I read is like made in China. I'm like, okay, this is okay. I thought we were competing against them, but to me, it seemed like they getting the leg up of it. Everything we own is made in China. Dang, I wonder what would happen if China just decided to cut the rug up under us. We wouldn't have nothing. Yeah, but they definitely, if anything was made in America, it's automatic. They just kind of took the wheels right under us. Nope. China now. It's going to be Chinese made. Yep. Made in China. Read it right on your tag. I think that is a great plan to get people to manufacture in the U.S. Bring jobs back to the U.S. It's going to be plenty of jobs for folks. That's how I feel. If I wanted that 15%, guess what? I'm a manufacturer right here in the U.S. and I'm going to hire some folks. We going to get that tax cut. It's going to trickle down to my employees. Let's get it.
We're bringing the tax rate from 21. Remember, it was 39, and it was really 50 if you add state and local and all of the other things. So we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15. I got it down to 21, which everyone said was impossible, and got it approved by Congress. So it's there. And we're going to bring that down to 15, but you have to make your product in the United States.
Yeah. And we do see federal revenues go up when the taxes go down, because the economy goes.
You saw it with me.
So we saw it with Reagan too.
You saw it with Reagan. So at 39% and then down to 21%, you would think we'd do half, or you'd do much less. In the first full year, we did much more revenue in the United States than we did at 39. In other words, we took in much more money.
Which is how you solve the deficit. Bill Clinton almost balanced the budget with his actual principle.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He did. And cost cutting.
Yeah.
We have plenty of cost cutting to do too, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's
in fact, I'm going to ask Elon, who's a great guy, but he's pretty good.
That was a great interview.
Yeah. Oh, that was a great interview.
Yeah,
that was some interview. We did pretty big numbers. I hear we did like 900 million people or something. That was a pretty good, but he's a great guy, and he gave me a full endorsement and all of that. But he's got a good sense on that. There's tremendous cost cutting that we can do and affect nothing. We're not going to affect anybody. We're not going to hurt anybody. We have to save Social Security and keep it good and solid. I don't want to be raising ages or anything. I don't want to do. They're putting migrants into Social Security. When they get finished, they are. If she got elected, this country is going bust. If she got elected, we're going back to 1929 depression. It would be a disaster for Medicare, Social Security. They're allowing millions and millions of people to come in. You can't use these schools anymore. The quality of life in this country has gone so bad because of what they've done.
One of the things that our viewers know about us, we work with tens of thousands of small business people. And so coaching them.
There you go, Dave. Get them back on track, Dave. This is what I'm talking about. Good stuff, Dave. Get them back on track. Don't let them go off to the side. Get them back on track. Let's get right back down to the issue. Let's go. 54%
of the gross domestic product is businesses 500 people or less.
Yeah.
Almost everyone in America, over half, almost 60% of people work for a small business. And I know small businesses are where jobs come from, not from government. So politicians don't create jobs; small businesses do.
The small businesses
pisses people like me off, and when the politicians say they're the ones making the jobs, we're the ones making the jobs. But when you guys in government can take your hands off of small business and allow us to do our thing, we're able to employ people and change things. So how can you help small businesses?
Well, the best way is just letting them do what they have to do, but we still have to give them a playing field. If we don't give them a level playing field, they will die. And that's what happened before. That's why China came in. That's why they came in, and they came in at a level like nobody's ever seen, and we did nothing about it. So the word tariff to me is a very beautiful word because it can save our country, truly. And yet, I think because of graft, because of a lot of consulting payments and other things that given by other countries, we have so much fighting with politicians on using it. I saved our steel industries by putting tariffs on steel that China came in and dumped. And you know what they do? They dump and dump and dump. Everybody goes out of business. Then they buy those businesses very cheap, and then they raise the prices to higher than they ever were. That's one of the many benefits that they have if they want to do it. But by putting tariffs on, as an example, in the furniture business in North Carolina, it was so vibrant, and they stole our business. And they charge us, if you wanted to build a furniture place, if you want to sell your furniture in China, they won't take it. But if you want to build a plant in China to make furniture in China using their labor, they open it. We're doing the same thing. But a lot of people are like, oh, well, we don't want to have tariffs. The country was at the richest point in its history in the 1890s. It was all tariffs. If you looked at William McKinley as an example, he was a big tariff president. They had committees that were put in charge of what to do with the money. We were taking in so much money. And McKinley would say, why should we let other people come in and steal our factories and steal our workers and steal our jobs? And why shouldn't we benefit? And he tariffed the other countries. And we made so much. And then they went to the income tax system later on. But they would actually they had a blue ribbon committee. Our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. And this blue ribbon committee was set up to determine how can we spend all of this money. And they took it in through tariffs. But we can turn our country around, make it strong, and then guard it with tariffs.
Yeah. Let's change gears for a second. My wife Sharon and I were in Scotland too.
So as y'all see, Trump is going all in on tariffs. Hey, like I said, I don't have much more to say about that. We done already kind of talked about it, kind of rehashed that out. But yeah, he's all in on tariffs. Bring manufacturing back to the U.S. Let's make the U.S. more competitive out here on the world market. Let's go.
2 weeks ago, and we played a bunch of different courses there, including Turnberry.
Good.
Which arguably, according to the golf guys I was playing with, is the nicest course in the UK right now. And certainly the halfway house, the lighthouse out
Isn't
there.
that good?
Turnberry's amazing.
Yeah.
But what I came away with, not only the golf course great, just to give you a huge compliment, you know that, but the staff and the team, the excellence in the hotel, in the restaurants, in the golf shop, everybody we dealt with. Talk about what it's like to work for Donald Trump. How do you hire leaders and put people in place to do that? Because I know you're obviously not there personally managing that, but you put a culture in place in your organization, and that applies to the administration as well, hiring people that are quality leaders.
Well, my son, Eric, is very much involved, and he runs a lot of it. And Don helps out a lot. And Ivanka, to a lesser extent, she's a great mother and everything. She did a fantastic job in the administration. All she wanted to do is get people jobs. She'd go around and see Exxon and see Walmart. She wanted jobs for people. It's really pretty amazing. She could have had a very glamorous job, and she would have done well. But Eric's done a great job. And I did a similar type of job when I was doing it. Now I'm doing a thing called running for president, so I don't get But we rebuilt Turnberry. Turnberry was considered one of the greatest courses in the world because the land is so incredible, right? With the ocean and, that ninth hole over there, you're hitting over the ocean. How good a golf are you?
13.
All right, that's
not great. I'm just learning. I've only been playing 5 years. I'm just learning.
Oh really?
Yeah. Enjoyed you and Bryson's 50.
Wasn't that
was
great?
fun. That was a great video.
That one did well in terms of the ratings.
It did. He can swing a club.
He can swing, and he's
a
great guy.
Y'all know what I'm doing.
Oh, if you want to. But we did well. We did well.
You did. It was very fun. So what leadership qualities, when Eric's hiring, did you teach him to look for?
Well, I like the recommendation business, but what I like best is taking people that are in the company and moving them up. You take a waitress as an example, and she's a beautiful person in every way. She took over that whole Republican convention. And Kai, our beautiful Kai. So the one thing I always told my kids, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. Now, in my day, there were no drugs. There was alcohol and cigarettes. And I had a brother that went through a lot with alcohol, and he taught me a lot. He really taught me a lot. And my brother, Fred, and he had a problem with alcohol, to put it mildly. And he would always, and he was quite a bit older than me. And he'd been through, but the way you get off is if you never start, I never had a glass of alcohol. Greatest sensation. If you've never smoked, you just don't have that problem. doing certain things, and we love getting up in the morning. You understand that, what you discuss better than anybody else.
Well, I'm happy to have her if she'd come.
I'm sure she would be. I'm sure she'd love to come. She wouldn't come.
So here you're going back to Butler and finish the speech.
I am. I'm going to say, as I was saying.
Yeah. So when that happened and you get in the car, I know I saw a clip the other day that Melania was watching on television.
Yeah.
So she saw.
They're
90-degree angle. If I was a little off, one way, the whole thing is make America great again. All right. That's getting the tax cuts approved, biggest tax cuts in history. That even with that terrible interruption that just destroyed the world, we had the greatest 4 years. The economy was so great. The job numbers were the best ever, et cetera. And I think just that concept of what I had done.
Just the performance.
Yeah. But individual things, getting the tax cuts approved, biggest tax cuts in history, biggest regulation cuts in the history of our country, rebuilding the military. We did a job in the military. I rebuilt the whole military. And then you see a lot of that military being given to Afghanistan stupidly because they left the country. I mean, and now you see them parading it back and forth. That was, I think, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, what they did. But there were a lot of individual achievements that we had. The creation of Space Force. Space Force is now dominating space. And when I came, there was no Space Force. The first time since Air Force, 78 years, maybe 80 years by now. And we are dominating space now. And we wouldn't be. We were in third place by far. And now we're way in first place. And it's very important. Militarily, it's very important.
President Trump, thanks for taking time.
Thank you very
Your team
much.
told us you got a speech here in a few minutes.
Hey, I feel like overall, at least in the beginning point, that was a good interview. It was a good interview. I feel like they kind of went off on a tangent with kind of the second half of it, talking about his personal life and just getting to know Trump a little bit more. I feel like that was that part. But in the beginning, good stuff from Trump. Good stuff from Dave Ramsey. I feel like we got everything that we needed to know in the beginning. How Trump's policies will affect us, the middle class, from the jump if he is elected president. But like I said, y'all, we got a few more days until we know. Basically, a month and a few days before we know who the next president is. Voting has already started, so make sure you get out and vote. Vote early if you can. That way you don't have to worry about it. I'll probably vote early myself. But yeah, that is pretty much the end of the show. I want to say it was a great show. I enjoyed some of the topics that we discussed. I enjoyed all the topics that we discussed. Waltz and Vance, they went at it for the presidential debate. Like I said, I feel like Vance won that for Team Trump. And then we ended it off with Trump had a discussion with Dave Ramsey, where I feel like we gained a lot from that, especially in the beginning where Trump talked about his policies and what he will do now and how he will get those things in action. Because it's cool when a president tells us what they're going to do, but at least Trump was able to tell us how he was going to put these things in place. That way we will see it. We know the plan behind it. I've been gypped once when the president told me they was going to do something and they didn't tell me how. I won't be duped again. If I do, you already know. Shame. Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't put the blame on you. Fool me 3 times, the peace sign, load the chopper, let it rain on you. With that, y'all, thank you for watching. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Peace, love, and riches. I'm out. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment on your way out the door.